Brainfeed, and I'm going to tell you my story, The Gems of Destiny. Ever thought that a normal life would change completely? It's hard to convince yourself that everything that happened could just be a dream, and convincing other people that it's true is the toughest of all. I could remember that day in a blur. And what day, you ask? It was the day when everything transformed for me. We lived in the city of Patchwood, a slow-evolving city full of huge roads with shops on every side and always something interesting around every corner and curve. But all this was downtown. In the part of the city where I live, it's quite boring. Everybody either went to work or to school, and I was one of those people to go to school. The weather was chilly. Leaves were falling off the branches of its trees. They were colors of red, orange, and yellow, swiftly floating in the air, reaching the ground, the only thing that is worthy to write about. By the time I came home from school, I found that my parents were out. They locked the door and didn't leave the keys anywhere. So I just sat on the porch waiting for them to come. My parents were scientists, though I didn't know what they specifically did as researchers. I don't think it's necessary for me to know anyway. This is what I personally think, whether it's right or wrong to others. They worked in the TechnoSurge towers downtown. There were a lot of people who worked there, but you'd never meet them somewhere out of that building. Quite strange. Anyway, it was getting late, and I was still sitting on my porch steps. The sunshine faded away, and it was 3 hours to my dinner time. I didn't even have a phone to call them. One of the sour disadvantages of not having a phone. I decided to take my bicycle and pedal my way to the TechnoSurge towers, where they usually would be. When I got there, I realized that there weren't any security guards in sight. Something wasn't right. I opened the gate that led inside the huge building. There was dim lighting set up in the place. There were cubicles everywhere where people worked, but they were empty now. I opened one cubicle door that was close to one of the lights. There was a computer, and next to it, a Polycom phone. I immediately used it to dial to my parents' cell phones. They were both out of network. I didn't lose hope. I thought they might have been busy in work or were somewhere in the building. I climbed to the next floor, and the next, and the next, until I came to a floor where glass laboratories were all over the floor. I guess things were tested here, and my parents would be somewhere around. I looked about for a while, but there was no sign of anybody. I then thought that I was looking in the wrong place and needed to get out of there as soon as possible. My parents might have already reached home and were looking for me. I wished I had not gone to the labs in the first place. Suddenly, I saw this bright light coming from the other side of the floor. I thought it was someone I could take help from and started heading towards the light. I went closer to it and found that it came from another glass laboratory. I should have run away from that place, but my legs were somehow taking me forth. My heart was pounding faster and my mind was telling me to run, for I had this feeling my parents weren't here. As I came closer to the glass lab, I saw that there was no door but only a doorway into the room. I took myself inside the place, and I saw that the bright light was coming from the wall. I managed to see what was inside the lab. There were tables that had glass containers full of different liquids and chemicals, along with different types of scientific equipment. I was brave enough to ride all the way over to the building, but I was suddenly scared all of a sudden. There was a person near the light. I somehow didn't notice him there before. I walked through the doorway closer to the vivid dazzle which shone like pure starlight. As I walked inside, the man just came up to me. He sure was fast. He was a tall man wearing an old vest and big boots. He grabbed my hand and put a pouch-like thing in it. It was made of white silk and was closed by a rope tied at the top. He said, "Take it," but I refused. The light was getting even brighter and hotter, and again said that he again said, "Take it." I shook my hands, making a signal that I wouldn't take the sack, and said, "No." The man just put the pouch in my hand. This happening is so faint in my head that day by day I forget the details. I think it was because of the heat and light. The pouch started to get warm too. There was something hard in it. I opened the pouch and shook those hard things out into my palm. They were bead-like capsules, tiny in size. They shimmered and glowed. The light was now getting really hot. The man wasn't looking at what I was doing. I think he was looking for something. Then he turned to me and looked at the light and yelled, "Get down!" He pushed me under a counter and got under another table opposite to me. The whole lab blasted and all the glass shattered. The whole lab blasted and all the glass around shattered. I shut my eyes and crunched myself up. I should have called the police and go out by myself. Just then after the explosion, there was a thud sound. It went on continuously. The man looked at me and gave me a gesture to stay silent. I felt the thud getting closer. It was like something was coming towards me. The counter I was under started to vibrate, and within a second, the counter exploded. I screamed like a child with fright of what would happen next. Above me was a beastly yellow ogre. I immediately got up and ran for my life at the sight of the scary beast. I ran through small corridors and under tables and managed to find a small hiding place. This was a good time to catch my breath and take a look at what was in my hand. They were gems that shine like stars. There were 5 of them. 2 were yellow, 2 were blue, and 1 was white, like an opal gem. It was beautiful. Just then the horrid creature spotted me again and had cornered me bad. I had no place to go. Just then, I thought of a quick idea. I picked one of the yellow gems and pushed it inside its belly. Its skin wasn't hard, and the gem went inside his body easily. I could see an expression of discomfort in the ogre's face, and within a blink of an eye, the ogre had exploded into dust. I was surprised for a second. I then looked at the beads, and I realized that the gem destroyed. I met that same man in the labs again. I told him to take the gems back. He advised me to come with him. He was a stranger, and I needed to get home. But all I said was, "I need to get to my parents," out loud. He then, with a serious tone, said, "Dr. James and Andrea are held prisoners across the portal along with the others. The Antrax tribe will be coming any time. We've got to get these gems to the protection center as soon as possible. And we can find a way to destroy the Antrax tribe and bring back your parents." All of this was quite a handful for me. How did he know my mom and dad? Eventually, I followed him to the protection center. I got to know that the man's name was Tanar, and the Antrax tribe was the last of the evil clans that wanted the gems to wipe out all other beings. They were also called the Tribe of Evil. The tribe had mutated themselves into animal people to make them stronger and resistant. Yanan was the head of the tribe, and his son, Satan, or Oxface, was his general. Satan would do anything to impress his father, and while Tanar was telling me all this, Satan the Oxface showed up for the gems. He was 8 feet tall and had a snout that made him look even scarier. His main target was me and the gems in the silk pouch. I ran inside a warehouse nearby to escape, but I got cornered again. I thought if I could put another gem in him, he would disappear like the last beast. I took out a blue gem and pushed it in Satan's skin. What I expected didn't happen. He got stronger and laughed at me. I was going to get chewed into cud, but suddenly something happened to Satan. He just started to disintegrate into white dust. He soon disappeared. Tanar and I got ourselves to the protection center where we met Tanar's sister, Tylene, along with others who knew well about the gems and secrets about the evil tribe. Everyone had lost someone because of the Antrax tribe, and they didn't want to lose anything further. Tylene was very smart. She was trying to make a potion that would use the gems to destroy the evil tribe once and for all. The main problem was that her mother had figured the potion out. Unfortunately, their mother's research was burnt in the portal's explosion. That's why Taynar was in the lab in the first place. All Tylene knew was that the potion needed the white gem in it. Tylene didn't know what to start with. I spent a long time there at the center mending my minor wounds that were caused by the explosion at the lab. Time was running out, and everyone knew that the Antrax tribe would find us, and this time it would be Yanin to fight us. The time came that Yanin burst with all his clan into the hideout. Nobody would do anything now. Nobody could do anything now. All these people were scientists from other worlds, and they were there because the gems were on Earth. They weren't warriors, neither were my parents. They started attacking, and I found Yanin heading to find me. Just then, Tylene came to me and said, "I figured out the potion. Mix the 3 stones together." I didn't know what that meant, but had to do it. I hid under a table and opened the sack. There were all 3 gems left. There were only 3 gems left, 1 of each color. I took a brick and smashed the gems in the silk pouch. I shook the sack and dipped it in a pitcher of water, and the water, or now the potion, started to glow. Once I came out from under the table, I came face to Yanin the croc. He had razor teeth with rough scales scattered all over. Yanin took the pitcher and drank it. I didn't think he knew what it would do to him. At that moment, there was a blast of light and sound. It soon ended. I was able to open my eyes. I couldn't believe it. I was on my porch steps. Just then, my parents' car pulled up the driveway. They came out of the car towards me, my mother saying, "Sorry we're late, Susie." I thought it was all a dream. As I got up, I found something in my pocket that wasn't there before. It was a white silk pouch with a rope closing it. The end.